Across the nation, procrastinators like me are scrambling to finish their taxes by tonight's deadline. And for many, the annual pain is a reminder of a promise not yet kept from Donald Trump. Show your taxes! Crowds marched in rallies across the nation on Saturday. That was April 15th, the traditional tax day when it doesn't fall on a weekend, calling for the president to release his past year's returns. Trump has previously said he's being audited, although there is no law keeping anyone from releasing tax info while under an audit. And he downplayed the weekend protest, tweeting, "I did what was an almost impossible thing to do for a Republican, easily won the Electoral College. Now tax returns are brought up again. Someone should look into who paid for the small organized rallies yesterday. The election is over." But Trump is not the only one being called on to defend his tax history these days. Here's Republican Senator Tom Cotton. He's from Arkansas, answering a question about Trump's tax releases at a town hall yesterday.
As far as I'm aware, the president says he's still under audit. And he said he's going to release them. Lock him up! I would say...
And now even some Republicans in Congress are saying no tax returns, no tax reform. Then earlier today, Donald Trump tried to get things back on track, touring a tools facility in Wisconsin and signing his Buy American, Hire American executive order, which in part makes it far harder to get H-1B visas, which is what many high-tech companies use to bring in high-skilled, lower-wage workers from outside the U.S.
For too long, we've watched as our factories have been closed and our jobs have been sent to other faraway lands. But this election, the American people voted to end the theft of American prosperity. They voted to bring back their jobs and to bring back their dreams into our country.
And then, unbelievably, there's talk of election 2020. Joining me are Sydney Asbury, she's former campaign manager and deputy chief of staff for Governor Deval Patrick. Good to see you. Boston Globe columnist Joan Venaki, she's the one I mentioned before, and Trump supporter and former state treasurer Joe Malone, a big-time Trump supporter. Hey there to all of you. Majority of Republicans, meaning voters, eligible voters, say he should release his tax returns, including some prominent Republicans like Joni Ernst from Iowa, a very conservative Republican. And as I said, even some are saying we can't do tax reform without the returns. They're right, aren't they? It's a pretty fair position.
You know, Ronald Reagan used to say your base are those people who are with you even when they disagree with you and even when you're wrong. And in this case, he's not releasing his taxes. He should. He's obviously not in the mood to explain line by line everything he did over a number of years.
Why not?
Because in the business world, you sometimes take deductions that in a political world look real bad.
But you would urge him to release his tax returns?
I don't think he will, and I will urge him. I don't expect tomorrow, because Joe Malone urged him that he's going to release the tax.
But, you know, one of the guys that led one of these marches across the country, where they're not just a few people, like 100,000 supposedly, said when they talk about tax reform, are they talking about cutting Donald Trump's taxes by millions of dollars a year? It seems to me that even if you were against it in the abstract, how can anyone say we shouldn't know what impact the president's own tax bill will have on his own and his family's finances?
He's sending a very mixed message, and he's wrong. And if you've got Republicans and you've got Joe Malone saying he's wrong, he's wrong. But I agree with Joe. He shows no signs of changing his mind and releasing them. And it shows that if he had just done it a year ago or when he first started to run, we've been through the controversy of what it said or didn't say, and now it just
unless it was so damning that he didn't get elected, even though he survived.
He survived everything.
You know, if Donald Trump were here, what I think he would say, what I really expected him to say, but he didn't, is people knew I wasn't releasing my tax returns. I couldn't have been more clear, and they decided on November 8th they were okay with that, or at least they were okay with that in the grand scheme of things. So let's move on.
Listen, this may not be the top issue for voters, but we saw last week Gallup put out a poll showing that Trump's dishonest factor has gone up exponentially. Voters are responding to the rules not applying to the Trump administration, and that's what we're seeing again here today.
Well, you know, a majority also, for the first time, I think, are saying that we don't trust him to keep his promises. But he came close to keeping one today in Wisconsin with that executive order. He originally said he'd get rid of all those visas, and he cited research, which he's right about. It does suppress wages of American workers. It does take jobs from American workers. Corporations love it. And ironically, he's taking on the corporations here. Isn't that exactly what you want someone like him to be doing?
Well, Listen, Donald Trump.
If a Democrat was doing, you'd love it, wouldn't
Trump vineyards use the exact same types of
yeah, but today is today. That was then, this is now.
Rules don't apply to Donald Trump, and that's what I think voters are going to get fed up with very quickly.
But he is. I mean, from the New York Times is a front page story today saying, you know, he's leaving his populist credentials in the closet or some such thing. But this is populism, is it not? Taking on the big businesses and siding with those average workers.
Yeah, I mean, in this one, yes. And I mean, I think even pro-immigrant advocates would say that there needs some reform in this area. So he probably is on the right side. But he's also going back to a topic that, you know, plays to his base, and he's trying to get that back.
And honoring, I mean, not 100%, but pretty much honoring a campaign promise, which is what you're supposed to do, isn't it? One, okay. You know, speaking of that, you know, he said today in Wisconsin at that thing, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, no one, there are 2 points of view here. No one has done more in 90 days as president than I have. And then there's a slightly different point of view. Here's that.
Parents are sorry to believe I've been president almost 100 days, and I've already done so much. It's hard to keep track of it all. Read to me again from the list of my accomplishments.
Of course, sir. Nominated Neil Gorsuch.
God, I love that list.
I mean, that is it. And by the way, the nomination of Neil Gorsuch and his confirmation is a huge deal. It's not it is a huge deal. He's 49 years old. He's probably going to be there long after we're all, not everybody, most of us are dead. I mean, for generations. But that is true. No health care. The Secretary of the Treasury, Mnuchin, says we're not doing tax reform this summer. Infrastructure, which was his other big thing, apparently they can't agree on where the $1 trillion is coming from. So what's he going to deliver to be able to say no one has been more accomplished in 90 days than I?
So reestablishing in the foreign arena the United States as a leader, not a country that's leading from behind, number one. The second thing, with all the regulations, he's reforming those regulations, which if you're a small business person, that's a huge plus. So those kind of things. And, you know, the way he's sitting down with foreign leaders, most people on the Democratic side thought he would be a disaster in the foreign policy arena. He has done very well.
And by the way, people like John Kerry and Hillary Clinton, Nick Kristof was here the other day, and he interviewed Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, hours before Donald Trump let loose those 59 Tomahawk missiles on the Syrian airfield, said he should do that kind of thing. Democrats seem to be pretty happy about this foreign policy. He was a boob on foreign policy 2 weeks ago, and now he apparently gets it, a lot of Democrats say.
Well, he still has to have a strategy going forward.
You don't know that he doesn't. We just don't know that he does.
Yeah, we don't know what his strategy is at this point.
But on that point, in terms of a strategy, he has put together, according to people like Lindsey Graham and John McCain, the best foreign policy defense team that they've ever seen.
Including his son-in-law who knows nothing about foreign policy.
A defense team that lost a warship today. Right. We thought the warship was in the South Pacific, and now it turns out it wasn't.
And also, the action that he's taken is opposite of what he said he would do as a candidate.
America
so that's not a campaign promise.
How about both those points, Joe Malone?
So with regard to the missiles on Syria, I think the whole
that wasn't the point they raised.
No, but in terms of doing things that he didn't that he said during the campaign that he wouldn't do, that was a step that had to be taken. As soon as they're using chemical warfare again, basically thumbing their nose at the free world.
But as Seth Moulton said, it's because of the babies that he had to do it, but he doesn't want the babies coming to this country.
I think the two are totally separate. Because you can create a safe zone over in the fringe of Syria where those people don't need to leave their homeland. At the same time, they can be safe.
You want to respond quickly to those points?
But a world of isolationism is not the world that the United States wants. We saw hundreds of thousands of people out marching for the Women's March, 100,000 people out marching this week. There is discontent with this president and his policies, and he's going to continue to feel that pushback.
There's democratic content with his foreign policy decisions.
Not a single
but when you talk about isolationism, if anybody, it was Obama who was the isolationist. He was the one who was hands-off on everything. He allowed the
including Syria.
He allowed North Korea to continue to build as a threat and did nothing on it. In fact, told Trump as he was leaving the White House, that's going to be your biggest headache as president. He basically kicked the can.
I agree with Seth Moulton. I don't see how you can care about one picture of, like one dead child and forget about all the other children that you don't want to let into this country.
You respond to that because I want to touch on it. You wrote a column today. I had to read twice because you said your words were something like, it's not far-fetched to think that you're laughing. I mean, even you can't keep a straight face. They're far-fetched that Hillary had won in 2020. Can you name one person you know, one, even the most ardent Hillary supporter who was saying, God, I can't wait till Hillary Clinton comes out of the woods and runs again.
I'm laughing because, like many readers, you just didn't read it closely enough.
What'd you say?
I said, of course she's thinking about running. Of course she's going through 2016 in her mind. Of course she's looking at the field and saying, what, Martin O'Malley thinks he can be president and I can't think about running for president? And I also think, given that conventional wisdom was completely upended in 2016.
It could be upended again in 2020 for her?
Again. I think it can be. I think it can be.
I want to hear it from you.
Who's a bigger name in the Democratic field?
90 days in, and the woman was just defeated in one of the worst campaigns. Would you not agree in American history?
That she ran the worst campaign?
And
no, I don't think it was the worst campaign ever run. 70,000 votes changed. She's
77.
President.
You're right. Those 3 states should be president.
Right.
Hillary Clinton has had a remarkable career, and she is a model of resiliency.
I agree with that.
The strength she has shown and the grace she has shown, even in defeat, I think is something.
Okay, if we weren't on the air and I said to you, Hillary Clinton's thinking of running in 2020,
I don't think it's going to happen. I think if we run the last campaign, we're going to lose.
Would you not say, please, no?
No, I think Hillary Clinton has a bright future, and I think she's going to do things in public life.
As a what?
Working on children's issues.
I agree with that.
I think she is going to do important things in her career as long from
Okay, far-fetched for you?
So I think what happens is you have advisors who sit around and say, keep your name in the mix, because that means on your obituary it's not going to be, she ran for president, lost, and that was the end of Hillary Clinton. So she wants to keep that going. She'll write another book and so forth, but this is all about...
Is that what Joe Biden's advisors are saying? Keep it going?
Absolutely.
Or what John Kerry's
Absolutely.
It's what
Mitt Romney's people are telling him.
So why should she be any different?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean she actually takes the step of running for president.
And I didn't say she would.
Yeah.
I just said...
You just keep that
You just said it's not far-fetched.
I said it's not far-fetched.
I withdraw my comment. You have the final word.
I just hope there's a woman in the mix. I think there are some bright stars in the Democratic Party, Kirsten Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, others like them that have a lot to offer this country.
I hope there's a good woman in the mix, too. Good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you as well.